What if I told you there's a simple daily habit that can reboot your brain, reduce stress, and bring back the joy of life? A habit that requires no money, special equipment, or hours of exhausting workouts. It sounds almost unreal in our world of constant tension, deadlines, and endless streams of anxiety-inducing news. We're used to thinking that fighting stress requires complex techniques, long meditations, or even medication. But what if the most powerful tool for improving mental health is literally always with us? Can you hack your brain and make it happier in just 30 days? We decided to take on this challenge. One person. 10 minutes of laughter every day. For a whole month, we tested and practiced what scientists talk about. Can laughter really become our first helper in fighting stress? And here's what it did to our hero's mood, sleep, and overall state. Watch to the end to see the impressive results of this experiment. Meet Henry. He's 34, works in IT, and his life is a kaleidoscope of work calls, code, and perpetually burning projects. For the last few years, he's felt what millions know: chronic fatigue, a constant feeling of being a squeezed lemon, apathy, and a strange detachment from things that once brought pleasure. His typical day started not with energy, but with the thought, well, another day. Joy became something distant and abstract, while irritation over trifles became the new norm. When we suggested this experiment, he agreed with a bitter smile. What do I have to lose? I can't even remember the last time I laughed from the heart. Maybe this will change something. The conditions were simple but required discipline. Every day, without days off or excuses, Henry had to dedicate exactly 10 minutes to laughter. He could choose the method: watch stand-up comedy clips, funny animal videos, recall amusing stories with friends, or even use laughter therapy techniques, laughing artificially, forcing himself. Before starting, we recorded his baseline metrics. On a subjective mood scale from 1 to 10, where 1 is complete apathy and 10 is absolute happiness, Henry rated his state at a solid 4, stress level 8 out of 10, sleep quality unsatisfactory, with frequent nighttime awakenings. These numbers became our starting point. The next 30 days would show if such a simple action as laughter could move these metrics from deadlock. But why laughter specifically? It's not magic. It's pure biochemistry and neurophysiology. To understand what we expected to see in Henry's brain, let's briefly look into the science. Imagine your body in a state of constant fight or flight readiness. That's the stress hormone cortisol at work. It mobilizes forces in response to threat. The problem is, for our brain, a threat isn't just a predator. It's a deadline, an argument, or alarming news. Chronically high cortisol can exhaust the immune system, worsen sleep, and literally poison our mood. The analogy is simple. Cortisol is like a constantly blaring alarm in the body. And while laughter isn't a magic button, some studies show it can help lower cortisol levels in the blood. But laughter doesn't just calm the alarm. It can trigger a real cocktail of happiness hormones. When we laugh, the brain may release endorphins, dopamine, and serotonin. Endorphins are the body's natural painkillers. They can cause mild euphoria and reduce anxiety. It's the same feeling runners call runner's high. But you don't need to run a marathon. Just watch a good comedy sometimes. Next comes dopamine, the neurotransmitter of motivation and pleasure. It's part of the brain's reward system. Laughter can stimulate its production, helping us feel joy and desire to repeat actions that lead to it. Finally, serotonin, our internal mood regulator. It affects mood, sleep, and appetite. Stable serotonin levels are key to emotional balance. In other words, laughter is a natural, free way to influence your brain. It doesn't just distract from problems. It can change your biochemical reaction to them on a biochemical level. Add purely physical benefits. During laughter, dozens of facial, diaphragm, and abs muscles activate. Oxygen intake increases. Circulation improves, stimulating heart and lung function. It's a kind of light physiological workout that doesn't require a gym. Armed with this knowledge, we eagerly awaited how theory would play out in practice. Would this biochemical mechanism work on Henry? The first days for Henry were, to put it mildly, strange. He chose evening time after work. Sitting alone in his room, he turned on comedy shows and felt nothing. Laughter wouldn't come. Then he resorted to Plan B, forcing himself to laugh. It was maximally weird. he admitted at the end of the first week. I sat alone making strange sounds, trying to imitate laughter. Felt a bit crazy. Thought neighbors would call an ambulance. Skepticism was off the charts. Seemed like I was doing something stupid. However, there's an interesting point. Our body can respond even to fake laughter. The physical act itself, even forced, triggers the same muscle contractions and breathing movements as genuine laughter. This, in turn, can send signals to the brain that stimulate endorphin release, though in smaller amounts. By week's end, Henry noted that while his mood hadn't changed drastically, one thing improved. Falling asleep became a bit easier. On the second week, something started shifting. Henry continued his 10-minute practice. He found a few stand-up comedians whose humor finally broke through his fatigue. Laughter became less strained, sometimes even genuine. It was during this period he noticed real changes in daily life. Once I was stuck in traffic that would usually drive me nuts, he shared. But I just turned on music and waited calmly. I was surprised by my own reaction. That evening I realized I hadn't felt sharp irritation all day. This is a classic example of how stress reactivity can decrease. His alarm stopped going off over every trifle. He also noted waking up easier in the mornings. The broken feeling gradually faded. Laughter seemed to start its subtle but systematic work. The third week was a turning point. The 10-minute routine turned from duty into an anticipated part of the day. Henry began actively seeking what would make him laugh, subscribed to funny pages, started sharing memes with friends, called an old buddy whose chats always exploded into laughter. The habit spilled beyond the 10 minutes. He caught himself smiling at a colleague's joke, laughing out loud at a street situation. Laughter became more natural. I noticed I became more open in communication, Henry shared. Before, I avoided office kitchen chats. Now I could throw in a joke myself. It's a strange feeling, like heavy invisible armor was lifted off me. Here, the social aspect of laughter comes into play. It helps strengthen social bonds. Shared laughter boosts unity and safety, and scientists suggest oxytocin, the social bonding hormone, plays a role. By the fourth week, the experiment peaked. Laughter became Henry's new norm. His worldview shifted. Work problems didn't vanish, but his attitude toward them became more constructive and less panicked. I suddenly realized I'd been sleeping through the night without waking for weeks, he said. I have more energy. Even colors around seem brighter. Sounds poetic, but it's true. The zest for life returned, one I thought I'd lost long ago. 10 minutes of laughter a day became not just an exercise, but a mental hygiene tool, as essential as brushing teeth. He learned to manage his state not by suppressing negativity, but by actively creating positivity. So 30 days passed. Time to sum up and compare Henry's before and after metrics. The results impressed not just him, but our entire team. Back to the numbers. Mood scale, from 4 out of 10 at the start to 8 out of 10 after a month. Not just improvement, doubling subjective happiness. Stress level, from 8 to 3. Constant tension and anxiety turned into calm and confidence. Sleep quality, from unsatisfactory to good without awakenings. But behind the dry numbers are deep changes. Science suggests this could result from hormonal shifts. Reduced stress reactivity and regular endorphin, dopamine, and serotonin stimulation may have altered his brain's neurochemical landscape. His nervous system seems to have exited fight-or-flight mode into rest and digest. The most important result was his changed self-perception. I didn't become a different person, Henry said in the final interview. I became more like myself, the light, optimistic version who sees the funny in everyday life. This experiment showed me I have control over my state, and that control starts with a simple smile. His story vividly illustrates how one small but regular action can trigger positive change. Henry's story proves laughter isn't just an emotion, it's a powerful self-regulation tool available to everyone. Of course, emphasize, this is one person's experience, and laughter can't replace professional psychological help or treatment for serious conditions. But as a daily supportive practice, its power is striking. How to do it? Start small. Find 5 to 10 minutes a day. Create a playlist of favorite comedy shows. Subscribe to channels or blogs that make you smile. Call a friend you always laugh with. Play with your pet. Look at the world through a child's eyes who finds joy in little things. Remember, your brain listens to your body. Sometimes to change thoughts, you just need to laugh. It's a habit that can powerfully support your mental health in the modern world. What makes you laugh? Share in the comments your favorite comedies, stand-ups, or just funny stories. Your comment might be the laughter dose someone needs right now. And of course, subscribe so you don't miss new brain experiments. Stay healthy and laugh more.